What's a pirate's favorite restaurant? Arby's!
The fine people at Arby's are in no way affiliated with this video. The opinions in this video do not reflect that of Arby's or any of the Arby's franchisees or chains. Please continue watching at your own discretion.
Extraordinary Adventures Pirates. Let's just go ahead and take a look across the board here before we even get started because it's such a beautiful board. Wow, look at that. The production value on all these Forbidden games is just phenomenal. So, this one's no exception. For setup, let's just go ahead and just talk about setup here to start. The setup's not going to be too difficult in this game. For setup, everyone's going to get these pirate ships and place them on their starting ports. There's 3 tracks in this game, so you're going to put one of your ships on each of the 3 tracks, then have an additional ship that you're going to place in front of you just to kind of know that you're that color player. We're going to put these crates down, and as you can see, there's little dots on these little ships that we're going to interact with. That's how many cargo they're carrying. We're going to place those on the board. Everyone's going to get a deck of their own cards, of their own color. These are kind of like basic cards that we're going to start the game with. And then we're also going to make sure that we have the treasure tiles placed out. For the treasure tiles, you're going to put out 3 times the number of players plus 1. So I have 7 tiles down here because 2 players times 3 is 6 plus 1, 7. This is going to be the main part of the tiles that we're going to have for this game. Once these are exhausted, we're going to do one little refill action to try and get a few more of these out. But this is basically going to be the source of our points for the most part, that we're trying to make sets out of these treasure tiles. At the heart of this game, it's a racing game, but it's also got elements of set collection because these tiles show that you can cash in the sets of goods that we have here listed on the bottom for the victory points listed on the card as well, or on the little cardboard placard. To really make a note too, these are on super thick, great cardboard. So again, Forbidden Games just goes all out with their components. These tiles are no exception. They're really great, really great. Just thick cardboard, nice finish, beautiful art. So everything in this game is great, but the tiles in here, those in particular are really nice, worth noting even. So everybody gets a little deck of cards to start with. It's kind of a deck builder. You have a lot of these lever cards, and basically these cards, what happens with them is they are, you can see they have the name of the card there. It shows that it's a starting card with that icon. And then at the bottom, it has flavor text, but it shows that it's only a 1 movement. So lever, we must be desperate. And you get a bunch of these, and you're going to try and pair these out of your deck really as the game goes on, if you can, because they clog things up. And then you're also going to get able-bodied seamen, which aren't the best, but they give you 2 movement. So this number here is that movement. The lever only gave us 1. This guy gives us 2 movement. And then finally, you do start off with kind of a powerful card, the Sailing Master's Mate. And the Sailing Master's Mate has both an ability where you're able to discard 1 card out of your hand out of play, or move 3. So that's kind of the first strategic decision you have to make in this game. Is, am I going to try and start pairing out some of those levers, or am I going to get that bigger 3 movement? And like any deck builder, we're going to continue building our decks. So let's do an example turn here. Let's say I did have the Sailing Mate who's giving me 3 movement, and I also have an able-bodied seaman and 1 lever. This is, maybe my first set of movement. That's going to give me a total of 6 movement. So now I have 6 movement. I can't break up card values, individual card values between my ships, but I can use all that 6 to move a ship and try and get to another spot to try and cash in on something, or I can. I could use 3 on one line and use 2 on another and 1 on another, or I could, just any combination of how I could use those cards. I can move ships, but for the sake of this demonstration here, I'm going to move the yellow ship, it's the yellow players thing, 6 spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they end up here. So they get this cargo. They're taking this cargo. They also get to take a card from this deck. They would get to take a Merchant Captain, which is a 3 movement card, pretty powerful, the most powerful card in that particular deck. So there's 2 decks we're going to be adding cards from. This deck that has the coin symbol indicated up in the upper left-hand corner, then there's also these port cards. When we go to a port to get treasure, we also can get one of the better cards. So we'll take a look at what that would look like now. So we've been playing for a while, and I finally get movement, so I can get into a port there. And that port allows me to go and make trades or find treasure or deal with, I don't know thematically what to say is happening there, but it allows me to cash in my crates to get tiles and take one of the more powerful cards. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my crates. So over the course of a few turns, I've acquired these crates here. I have, let's see here, do I have one of every, I don't have a brown crate yet. So anything with a brown crate I'm going to be excluded from, but most anything else I'm going to be able to get. So just looking right away here though, I think I have what I need for this crate right here. A white, a yellow, a blue, and a red. So I'm going to take a white, a yellow, a blue, and a red. Oh, tried to cheat there. White, yellow, blue, and red. And I'm going to go ahead and take this tile. And so now I've gotten those victory points. I've had to spend those cargo to get it. But then I also get one more step. On my turn, I'm also able to take one of these cards as well. And these are going to be better cards. So this one gives me 4 total movement, but I also could move 2 on each track if I want to use his special ability. This guy allows me to move, it's actually a gal, allows me to move 4 on the blue track. Otherwise, it's only a 2 movement. So it's going to be helpful if I have a strategy where I'm trying to really move on that blue track, then that's going to be a really great card for me to have. And then the fair wind up here, the beam reach is going to be a 3 movement card, just basic, but again, more powerful. And these cards in this deck just have more abilities generally. They do more movement. So getting to those ports to get those points, but also to get to those ports to get these cards is really critically important. And as the game progresses, we're going to end up with quite a few more cards in there. Some other cards that you may see, this Master Gunner allows you to, if you loot a ship, continue moving with the same ship, which is kind of powerful sometimes. We've got a Cook. He's basically going to allow you to place some crates onto a certain location. Now, these guys both have something interesting going on with them. Let's take a little bit closer look at them. These cards both have these symbols in the top here. This purple symbol means that it would go into a tableau in front of you and become a permanent effect if you were to use its ability. This one says discard it. So the Cook, you would discard and get rid of him out of the game after you use his ability. So that little skull and crossbones there, skull and swords, means I only get to use this one time and then it has to leave the game. This is, again, in my tableau, a permanent, always on effect, not have to just have that card there. So there's just a lot of different neat cards in there. There's some that give you victory points. There's just all kinds of cards in there. So it's a little bit of a light deck builder, a little bit of a racing game, kind of just a hybrid of a bunch of things. So this game really is a race. We're all trying to end up way down here in Trinidad. Once you can end up in Trinidad in a 2-player game that we're showing here, first player will get 7 victory points. And as you play with more and more players, the first person to get there is going to get a bunch more victory points than the rest. In 2 players, I've found that a strategy that might work really well, and I've not quite figured out how to counter it yet, is just rushing on one of your tracks and getting to Trinidad super fast. Because the 7 points is kind of a lot, and then you get to claim a tile as well. So you can get a lot of points from that. So that's something you have to be aware of when people are playing. With bigger play counts, it seems like it's a little more leisurely of a game. Not leisurely, but it's like there's little smaller races happening throughout, where it's like people are trying to figure out how can I get ahead on one of the tracks to get some crates. I really need those crates. You can also notice too, I mean, this is a simulated game where we've gone through most of this track here, so things have been cleared out. But when you get closer to Trinidad, it feels like there's just really good riches there, a lot of ports. So it's an interesting board. The layout of the board too, I don't feel like the tracks are balanced, and that's okay because really that's where some of the player balancing is going to happen. So maybe the blue track you don't feel like is quite as strong as maybe the red track, or definitely the black track not as strong as either of those. That's okay, because if there's not as much population really working hard on that black track, then you're allowed to take advantage of it, and there's not near the competition down there. So at least in my experience playing this game. So that's roughly how this game works. It's a racing game, a pirates racing game where you're trying to collect sets of crates to get tiles. And at the end of the game, whoever has the most points wins. Not bad. It's a quick setup. It's a quick play. And we'll get into the studio now and I'll give you some final thoughts.
So Extraordinary Adventures Pirates, cool game. Before I get into this too much, I want to do this. One, If you haven't subscribed or given this video a thumb, maybe think about it. If you are a sub, high five. You're awesome. So the thing I want to say before I get into the ratings, though, is there is another thing that you can add to this game, an optional, like, kind of hard mode or additional, like, module, that you have these little pirate meeple guys here. And these little pirate meeple guys are going to be, basically, you're going to use them as wagers. They're agents. You can put them in ports. And then if you get to that port and cash in for treasure, they double that treasure that you just got. If someone else gets there first, though, the agent's kidnapped and they get a victory point. So it adds another little layer of complexity and planning to it. Just kind of adds a little to it. And so the way how I showed it is the way I'd play it with family and play it 90% of the time, to be honest. The way how this game is going to be useful to me. That 10% where you're playing it with gamers as a filler kind of thing almost or something, that is a nice addition, actually. So if this is a game that you think you'd like, but it doesn't quite just have enough meat to it, that does add a little meat to it. So let's get right into it now. So right off the bat, too, I'm going to disclaim this by saying, okay, this game isn't typically something that I would endorse. This isn't a game that I typically, like, cover on this channel. And this isn't something that, like, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to make my top 50 games of the year. Or not, yeah, it'll make the top 50 of the year. But it won't make my top 50 games of all time. But I'm going to say some really positive things about it. And I have a new system going on where when I get a new game, I kick one out of my collection. And this one's going to kick something out of the collection. It's going to stick around for a while. For all the positive things I'm going to talk about now. So, right off the bat, I don't like the art choice on the cards. So, I feel like if I say that up front, then you'll remember all the things I'm going to say after this. The cartoon pirate look of the cards, I don't think is awesome. I think it's okay. It's good. It's fine. But the rest of the components are so amazing and over the top, it sticks out a little bit. So, I think they went with that cartoony look because they wanted to keep this game light and not very intense. If you make a realistic looking intense pirate, this might not be great for 6-year-olds anymore all of a sudden. So keeping it cartoony, I get it and I respect it and I think it's fine. But the rest of the components in this game are over the top, insane, great. The board is huge and it has this beautiful piece of art on it. The tile chits for the treasure, they're like thick and glossy and beautiful. And the ships are made of really nice plastic and the molds on them are really great. Like, it's not like that cheap where you have mold lines all over it and stuff. Like, these are paint quality, probably plastic. They're a little shiny. I don't know if they would paint great, but I think they're higher quality plastic than I'm used to seeing with, like, plastic little pieces like this. The insert's great. I didn't show you the insert, but the insert's perfect. The finish on the cards is great. The card backs are great. Overall, the components on this are absolutely phenomenal, and I would give them a 10 out of 10 if it wasn't for that little thing about the pirates earlier. I just wish they would have turned it up a little bit on, like, making them a little more, like, detailed or something. But 9 out of 10, and it doesn't take away from the gameplay at all. The cards look like they do. And the simple design of the cards, super functional. So, 9 out of 10 on the components, like, beautiful, just great. The approachable complexity of this game, this is something I could play with my 70-year-old mom who doesn't play games. She's played Yahtzee kind of games, and she'd play this, and she'd be fine. She'd be competitive, probably, because the idea of a race is not difficult to grasp, and then playing down cards, she might not understand pairing out deck building kind of things very well, but she'd be fine. I could play this with, like, my grandkids, and this will be one that when I have grandkids that are board gaming age, this will be one of the first games I probably play with them, if it's still something I'm playing. I mean, this is something that you could play with really young kids. So it's easily approachable, and it's because of that wide, high approachability, this game's going to hit the table more often than some other games. I mean, like, I like games more than this. Like, City of the Big Shoulders is amazing. It's my favorite game of this year so far. But to get that game out and play it, I've got to have a select group. This one I can play with anybody. I mean, coworkers, church groups, family, whoever. This one can hit the table and be played. And it's going to be perfectly fine and perfectly fun. It's quick. There's not downtime in this game. You're always watching what other people are doing. 1, because it's a race. You're always involved with where's my position on these tracks. 2, your turns come around real quick. Even at 6 players, people's turns are so quick. I don't feel like this is an AP prone game at all whatsoever. This is something that people are going to go, oh, okay, I get this. Boom, boom, boom. Move, move, move. On to the next person. Almost that quick. I mean, like, it's just, you're not going to have a ton of downtime in this game. It's going to keep coming around to you really quickly. It's also really scalable. So at 2 players, this game's a little different feeling. It's not bad, but it feels different than it does at 3, 4, and 5. At 6, it feels a little different too. And it's that at 6, it's just like a lot going on at one time. At 2, it's like, I feel like I can do a lot. I don't feel like there's a sense of urgency that might have been there otherwise. And it's not to say that those are worse player counts. They're just different player counts. So at 3, 4, 5, it definitely has this frantic, urgent, I've got to plan quick and I've got to get this stuff done. At 6, it's like there's so much stuff going on that you're like, I'm going to try to plan for something. I don't know if I'm going to get it done or not because there's just so much going on. There's just a lot of unpredictability and chaos on this board that I'm trying to overcome. Okay, can I do this? Yeah, I think so. And then at 2, it's like you feel like you can kind of like say, this is my track and I'm going to get out ahead on it and I'm going to do what I want to do on it. And the other person can kind of play on their track and there's not this level of player interaction that you might see otherwise. I think that with 2, it might scale well to shut down some of the tracks. Like it might do well to say that you're only playing on 2 of the 3 tracks and that might add to it. That might be a home rule that I try out. We'll see. So I don't know. But it is super family friendly because of the variety of player counts and the easy access to this game. This is something that I think I would pack into my going to Thanksgiving bag and know that there's going to be opportunities to play it, even if it's with a different group than you normally play games with. So anyway, all very positive things. Again, this one's bumping a game out of my collection. So this is one that's going to kick out. I don't know. Maybe I'll tell you what it is on the podcast that it kicks out. But it's going to kick something out of my collection that's going to go into my garage and be in my flea market of board games that I sell. So, yeah, that's pretty high pretty high compliment because I only keep around 350 games around. So this is in my top 350 games for usefulness and things that I like. So pretty good when I've played 3,000, you know. So at any rate, accessibility is amazing on this game. Again, it's a non-gamer / gateway game. The theme. Anybody can play this game. I mean, anybody can play this game and enjoy it and not be grossed out and not feel offended by it because it's just, again, that comic-y thing that I kind of ding this game on is probably the reason why they did it is so they could have this game be accessible to everyone. And then with that complexity, you need to have it accessible to everyone. So the theme's for everybody. There's no, oh man, these pirates are really nasty because it's just cartoony and comic, you know? So, the fun on this game is a 4 out of 5. I have a lot of fun playing this game. It has that sense of urgency, that sense of like, I'm panicking to try and get this done, that you don't feel all the time in board games. This one does it really, really well. That you're getting that, oh man, I got to get going here and I got to, make my move now. Also, this game, I don't want to talk badly about another game, so I'm not going to, but there's another pirate racing game in the Caribbean that people rave about. And this game is 100 times better than it. I mean, just so much better than it. That game's not in my collection. I owned it. I bought it based on people raving about it. Blind bought it because people are like, oh, this is a top 50 game of my life. And I played it and I was like, oh, okay. Okay. This game is good though. Like this game is really good and it kills that one. It just kills it. So this game's way more fun than that one. The replayability of this game is probably its weak point. It's going to have a lot of opportunities to be played, but it's not going to be like, ooh, that was a brand new experience to me. It's kind of the same thing every time. Different cards come out that makes it above average probably, but it's not a strongly playable game. It's an average replayable game. So 3 out of 5. The design and the art in this game, 4 out of 5. It's maybe a 4.5 out of 5 even. Like that little ding I gave it for the mesh up of the art styles, I'm making a bigger deal out of it than it is. I mean, you saw the game on the table. If it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. It doesn't really bother me either, to be honest. But if I was looking for something to say this is not great about this game, it's just very good, it would be that. So where do I land with this game? This is fun for the family. This game I'm just calling fun for the family, and I'm suggesting this one for people who want a family game, for young children, for older people. So this isn't something that I would say is board game mechanics, like, oh, this is a typical board game mechanics game. But this is a game that's super fun for families, and I would suggest it for families. And I would suggest it for people who are looking for something that you could play with, not your traditional group of gamers that you play with. So, and it's very good at that, very strong. So, overall, a good game. I really do like it, and I think this is one that is worth checking out, for sure. So, I hope that I was clear on this. I only slept about 2 hours last night because my smoke detector went off in the middle of the night, and true story. And so I'm like kind of in this fog right now, and I think I'm making sense, but if I'm not, bottom line is it's a great game and I really like it. So at any rate, Extraordinary Adventures Pirates, check it out. Try and find a way to play it. Almost anybody I think will enjoy it. And I guess that's about it. I've been Joel, and keep gaming. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and thumb. Not trying to be pesky, but it does help. And if you have already, oh, you're awesome. Thank you. All right. Also, the link below has our podcast and stuff, or these tiles that are popping up. You can find more stuff. Anyway, keep gaming. I've been Joel.